Welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the line movements show that we do every Friday afternoon with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, where we take a look at some of the most interesting line moves on the NFL card that have gone on through the week. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter.
In our videos this week, we talked about how you went 9-0 in your last, 9 picks with us and 9 videos. And then on Thursday, 2-1 again. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com has given us a ton of free winners here, whether he's a genius handicapper, selling his soul to the devil, whatever he's doing. We really appreciate it. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com.
Well, for 26 years, I think it's more of a genius handicapper. I haven't sold my soul to the devil yet.
Who knows? All we care about is winners, and you have definitely been delivering them by the bushel. All right. Let's look at some of the significant line moves that have gone on over the past week. The most interesting one is actually a recent one. It's KC at Buffalo. Now, a lot of people, we've been hearing that maybe the sharp side in that game was Buffalo when it was +3. Then just today it went all the way up to 5, and now it went back down. It's right now 3.5, though. Still, that's a significant move. It's off the 3 in the direction of KC. So I'm wondering what's driving that. You have any idea?
100%. I'm positive I know what's driving it. You are correct that the Sharps were very likely going to bet on Buffalo if Thaddeus Lewis was going to play. As of Wednesday, it looked like he was probably going to play. Then there were reports this morning that he was almost definitely out. But then the practice report said he did play limited in practice on Friday. So it's basically the status of, as you once called him, I think that Thaddeus dude, but we don't know who's going to be starting for Buffalo. It looked like it would definitely be Lewis, then it looked like almost definitely not. Now it's about 50-50.
All right, and then probably the most significant solid movement, in other words, not a movement that was like fluctuating up and down, just a line that moved and stayed there, was the Saints-Jets game, right? The Saints opened -4. Yeah. Now they're solidly -6, and I'm wondering, I guess that could be all just public action.
Yeah, no, the Jets looked absolutely awful last week, but again, the Jets have been the poster child this year for our consistently inconsistent. So if they followed form, the Jets would come back with a good effort this week. But we always say that the public likes betting road favorites, and especially as awful as the Jets looked last week, it's not a surprise that that line went way up.
Yeah, and with the Saints getting an easy win and cover last week as well. Yeah, that's got to be all public action. Another line move that might be sharp action, I'm thinking, is the Tampa Bay-Seattle line, right? At the bookmaker, it opened 16.5, now it's 14.5. At Penny, it opened 17, now it's 15.5. So something drove that line down. I'm assuming that was a couple of hits of sharp action.
Yeah, well, Seattle struggled on Monday. They wound up winning the game, but they were looking pretty mediocre. So I think the fact that Seattle looks so is the main reason. However, it looks like Doug Martin is most likely not going to play. So if anything, maybe some money will come back on the favorite.
And then the 2 games with 10-point lines, we see this a lot. Obviously, a game with a 10-point line is going to involve, usually a home team that's way better than the team that's on the road. But both those lines have gone down a bit, and we do see this repeatedly. Minnesota at Dallas. Dallas opened -10.5. Now it's either 9.5 or 10 juiced. And same thing with Chicago Green Bay. Opened 11. Now it's solidly down onto 10.
Yeah, well, in the case of the Dallas Cowboys, as of about Wednesday, DeMarcus Ware was expected to play. Now, according to the Friday reports, he's most likely going to be out. Claiborne is also out for the Cowboys. Miles Austin, although they've Austin's production keeps going down and down and down for a team that likes to open it up. He's really their number 3 receiver, and that's somewhat of an injury, but mostly I think it's because of the DeMarcus Ware is now downgraded to doubtful.
All right, and then one other game that I'm going to be keeping an eye on is Indianapolis at Houston, right? The early action did seem to come on Indianapolis. It was creeping up, and it got to -2.5. It never hit 3, though. Now it's taken a bump, though, down to 1.5. Where do you think this line might close?
Well, there's no question it's going to move Sunday, but it's going to move based on the pregame injury reports. Arian Foster, is he going to play for Houston? He's been listed as a game-time decision, and that's especially, he's an important player to begin with, but, especially with them going with Case Keenum, who is really a better quarterback than Matt Schaub at this point, but he needs his running back to keep the defense honest. So that line will definitely move on Sunday, but it's going to move depending on what the latest status is on Foster.
Okay, not a surprise at this point in the season that a lot of these lines are, moving on injury news. All right, from the rest of the card, is there any other line move that has caught your eye as maybe noteworthy or interesting?
Not necessarily all that in particular. It does look like Roddy White is now a game-time decision for Atlanta. So if he's going to play, maybe some money will come back on the Falcons, whereas I think the public would prefer to bet Carolina because Cam Newton's showing some signs of being one of the top quarterbacks in the league again. Keep an eye on the total on Monday night. James Jones did practice for Green Bay. I think if by Monday morning, if he's listed as probable, that total could go to 50.5 or 51.
Before we wrap this up, out of all the lines on the card, is there any line that jumps out to you as one line that might move? If you had to pick one line that you would predict as most likely to move from where it is right now, what would you say?
Well, the most significant, as we said, when a line moves off or on to 3 in the NFL, that is humongous. Oakland, I would say, will probably close at 3, at the very least 3 even, but probably 3 minus 110. So I'm going to call for the Raiders to close as a solid 3.
All right, thanks so much, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com.